You Can Do It, Sam, by Amy Hest. It happened one winter morning on Plum Street, and the moon was still up, making moonbeams and shadows on Plum Street. In the little white house, Mrs. Bear and Sam were baking cakes. They stirred with big spoons, twirling and tasting batter. They peeked in the oven at 2 rows of cakes, golden brown cakes for their friends on Plum Street. "Come on, cakes," whispered Sam. I can't wait. Readers, did you hear Miss LaHood sound like the teacher? Because Sam whispered, and so did Miss LaHood. Mrs. Bear and Sam waited for the cakes. "Now can we go, Mama?" "Now," said Sam. "Soon," Mrs. Bear said. "Soon, Sam." So it's nice when you're reading a story to try to sound like a teacher when you read. Do the voices of the characters. Talk with a nice strong voice and sit up tall. Can you see words you might know? They waited, and then at last, Mrs. Bear sniffed the air and her nose in the air and said, "I believe our cakes are ready." Mrs. Bear and Sam counted the cakes, and there were 12. They tucked them in bags, and there were 12 red bags. Outside, snow tumbled on houses and sprinkled the trees. It powdered the yard and Mrs. Bear's truck. Mrs. Bear and Sam climbed up into the truck. That was green. There's a word we know, green, and it matches the color of the truck, green. Now, here's reading like a robot. They bumped along in the early light. That's not how teachers read, do they? No. So we want to read like a teacher. Sit up tall, Miss LaHood. They bumped along in the early light, just the 2 of them on Plum Street, up and down to the very end of Plum Street. "Our friends will love my cakes," Sam told his mama. "Of course," said Mama. Mrs. Bear pulled up close to the first sleepy house. "Here we are, Sam. I'll wait here, and you take the cake." "All by myself," whispered Sam. Go, Mrs. Bear said. She put her arm around Sam. "You can do it, Sam." And off he went, all by himself in new snow, all by himself, waving a red bag and waving to Mrs. Bear, all by himself, taking a cake to their friends, all by himself. Sam left the red bag at the door. The sign on the bag said, "A tasty surprise." Then he ran back to the truck where his mama was waiting. "I did it," said Sam. "Of course you did," said Mama. Until Mrs. Bear and Sam bumped along, just the 2 of them, uphill and down. At each sleepy house, Mrs. Bear stopped the truck. She put her arm around Sam. "Here I go," whispered Sam. Go, Mrs. Bear said, and off he went, making tracks in the snow, waving a red bag, waving to Mrs. Bear, leaving 1 tasty cake at each sleepy door, all by himself. Until they got home, there were 2 cakes left and 2 red bags. Said Mrs. Bear. "For us?" whispered Sam. "Of course," Mrs. Bear said. Mrs. Bear and Sam held hands on the path to the little white house, and the sun was just sunning up. The little white house. "Hello, house," said Sam. and they went inside, kicking snow off their boots. Mrs. Bear poured cocoa into cups, and they wriggled their toes in fat socks, enjoying their cakes with cocoa. As their bellies filled up, they took turns telling stories. Stories about a bear called Sam who takes cakes all by himself to his friends, and they all loved his cakes so much. And that's what happened one winter morning on Plum Street.